Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining. My name is Scott. Today we're talking about maybe one of the new best value in full proof or cask strength bourbons to hit the market in quite some time. Let's talk a little bit about that today on the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. All right, so I'm super excited to dive into today's review. I think we've got a new full proof cask strength bourbon, call it what you want, that's entering the market at an absolutely, in my opinion, fantastic price point. So we're gonna talk about the newest from Green River Distilling Company, their full proof. So this was an exciting thing as they began to release just their standard bourbons, rye, and now their introduction of the full proof. So I think they're coming kind of full circle, introducing really what it is that they have to offer the bourbon world. So what is it that the Green River Full Proof Bourbon has to offer? So this release is coming in at 117.3 proof. The mash bill on this is 70% corn, 21% rye, 9% malted barley. It is non-age stated, however, they've indicated that these blends are between 5 and 7 years old, and the MSRP, get this, $50. In my opinion, what it is that Green River has done price-wise has been absolutely fantastic and a genius move in my opinion. First, we'll take a look at the color. So as you can see, kind of a medium copper, light kind of burnt orange, moving the whiskey around again, 117.3 proof. Not bad oils. I wouldn't say it's the most oily, but not bad so far. So let's go ahead and dive into the nose. Boy, so my first thought right away is there's this beautiful, beautiful caramel note. Really nice kind of honey notes. It feels a little bit like more of a charred honey. There's some really nice barrel influence so far on this. Definitely some red fruits, probably leaning a little bit more towards that kind of cherry note. Again, nice medium oak, not blowing you away with a huge oak bomb or anything like that. It just feels very appropriate. Something interesting, I'm also getting a little hint of like this bubblegum note. And that's not something I pick up or get a lot on bourbon, but there's something about this one that I'm getting this slight bubblegum note. Yeah, like I mentioned before, there is more of this barrel influence. I'm gonna say it's a little bit more oak forward, but stick with me on this. It's not smelling like it's a huge amount of oak. It just feels like there's definitely some barrel influence on the nose on this one. Some really nice spice to it so far. So yeah, I'm gonna say so far the nose and what this is, I think it's really nice so far. And again, at $50, I think this is gonna be something that may compete very strongly with maybe from Wild Turkey, their rare breed, maybe the Russell's Reserve single barrels, something along those lines. But so far the nose, I'm really kind of digging it so far. More importantly, let's see how this one's gonna taste. Cheers. So interesting, like I got on the nose right away, this caramel note, that's definitely there. But my first initial thought or reaction is cherry. Cherry pipe tobacco, a little bit light, not overly heavy, incredible, incredible spice that it has to it. Again, a really nice barrel influence. So it's letting you know there's some barrel interaction going on with this bourbon. And I'm really liking the characteristics or the setup of this one so far. Really nice rye spice or baking spice, but it has this nice, just very, very pleasant spice note that's going very well with already a little bit of that kind of cherry, some more of that kind of caramel, those nice kind of honey notes. It's so far a really, really nice, straightforward type of bourbon. Interesting. So it feels like it's starting to kind of change or evolve. And what I mean by that is up front, we were getting, or early on, we were getting a little bit more of that kind of oak, a little bit more of that kind of cherry influence, a little bit more of that honey. Now it's kind of starting to change a little bit into this, what feels like this butter pecan, maybe custard, or a maple syrup and waffles. It's not over dominating like it's like in a secondary or a finishing cask, but there are these kind of characteristics about it. You're getting these really nice, interesting waves, which is making, for me, this whiskey definitely a little bit different, much more approachable, maybe something slightly different than what you get from a couple of the other brands. But I think it feels, again, very tried and true. These really nice, just bourbon flavored profile that it has. And the more I kind of sip on it, it feels like it's all of that. Like it's easy to sip on. It's easy to enjoy. It's not feeling like it's blowing you away with proof. That proof feels about right. Maybe it drinks a little bit under that 117.3 proof, but again, it feels very approachable, very, again, tried and true. Just something that you feel like you don't want to put down, something you can continue to sip on throughout the evening. Yeah, maybe some like slight kind of brown sugars. Again, I'm kind of referencing back to that like maple and waffles, something along those lines. But there are those characteristics, and I like the waves that this has. So early on, you were getting a little bit more of that kind of cherry, pipe tobacco, a little bit more of that barrel influence, which has continued to linger throughout. Nice kind of honey notes. Really, the more I kind of sip on it and the more I kind of talk, all of it feels very cohesive. It feels very well blended into this 117.3 foolproof bottle. I would say this overall, it feels like a bourbon that you want to recommend to others because of its approachability. I think it has a lot of different or nice flavors, something that's going to fit the masses. Like, I don't think that this is a bourbon that's going to teeter one way or the other in terms of it being, you know, either something super desirable versus something that, you know, nobody would want. I feel that this is right in the middle of a really nice offering from Green River. And again, I think at $50, this is going to become very quickly a really nice or solid valued bourbon in today's day and age. Again, 117.3, basically cask strength for $50. That's a really tough price to beat nowadays. Not to say there aren't some that are out there, but to get this and those flavors, it's great. You know, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the pick we did, which we named Jorge T. Swag. There are those components to it. Again, there are those kind of cherry notes. There's that little bit of the richness, the oak, that intense kind of just bourbon flavor profile. So again, I think this feels like this. Now, again, I know a lot of people haven't had a chance to try this, but again, I think for that kind of tried and true bourbon profile that it has, this is going to be quickly, I think, a bourbon that an awful lot of people have at their house as like a daily sipping type of cask strength bourbon. As much as cask strength bourbon can be a daily sipper, this feels exactly like that. So let's talk a little bit about overall and maybe my recommendations or suggestions on this one. So overall, would I recommend it? I would say 100% yes. I think for what this has to offer at that price point, and again, I mentioned before, I commend them for having this product come out at that $50 price point. Could it have been more? Sure, it could have been, but I think they recognized the market the way it is today and introduced this bourbon at $50. So in my opinion, I think they did an absolutely incredible job from that standpoint alone. Now, again, is it something that I would either buy or buy again? 100%. I think this is a bourbon that you can give to just about anybody who's going to just thoroughly enjoy it. It feels like it has those properties to it. So again, I think overall, it's a buy recommendation for me, again, with what it has as a flavor profile, its price point. Let's talk a little bit about the availability. Maybe it's not in your market now, but with Green River and their distribution, they usually get these things out to the masses pretty quickly. So if it's not by you right now, I would imagine it's going to be in your location very, very quickly. Any secondary value, I would say there's really no secondary value to this. I think it's going to be common enough that you should be able to, within a short period of time, you should be able to go to the store and find this sitting on the shelf somewhere. Again, at $50, I think they've absolutely nailed it with that. So with that being said, let me know overall your thoughts on Green River as a whole. Maybe their general lineup. Have you had a chance to try their Full Proof yet? If you have, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Not only would I like to know, I think people coming to watch the video would also like to hear from others as well. So with that, thank you guys again for tuning in today. Greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook, Instagram, all of those places at My Bourbon Journey. If you'd like to help support the channel and or become part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, make sure you check out the Patreon link in the description below. And as always, remember, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers.